What's up, guys? Episode number 7 of the Marketing Life podcast. I'm super excited. Today on this show, I brought on a man by the name of Justin Tempest. This guy's a door knocker. And you guys might say, well, why the crap are we having a door knocker on this Marketing Life podcast? And I will say, I've been learning a lot about door knocking lately, and there's a lot of the same principles with door knocking as is for online marketing. So let's dive in. What's up, guys? We have Justin Tempest on the show today. Justin, tell us your backstory, how you got into door knocking.
Door knocking. Well, I just finished up my second year in the industry, so I've got a little bit of weight under my belt now. Last year, when I started looking into the industry, I just felt like I'd seen a lot of people do really, really well at it, and they were my age, and I feel like I had similar skill set that they had. So I started poking around at the industry, trying to find what I wanted to sell, what company I wanted to sell with, what my short-term goals were and long-term goals. At the time, I wanted to be a doctor, wanted to go into orthopedic surgery, and was starting a degree at Uvu and Utah in biology to get that done. And so my goal with door knocking was to really make as much as I could during college, where when med school started, I could have that be mostly out of pocket and keep down on the student loans. And as I started poking around at different companies, I found out that I wanted to sell pest control. I wanted to kill bugs. And as I found the right company that I felt like worked well for me, it was a startup company. So it was a company that I felt like that I could plug in at the very, very first day and help build a company into something great, as opposed to just plugging into something that was already existing. And so after just finishing my second year with Anthem Pest Control as both an individual and also the company's second year, we've crushed it. We've done really, really well, and just finished my first year managing a team and did just near 2,000 accounts as a network, which was really good to see.
That's awesome, man. So door knocking, you're here now today. So what do you do in a door knocking scenario? Like give the audience like an understanding of door knocking, because I just started, kind of helping in this industry with marketing for Sam Taggart, but tell the audience about how this goes down. How does the door knocking industry work?
It's intense, man. There is no type of sales, in my opinion, that's more direct and hits you in the mouth like door to door. It's literally as simple as going to a neighborhood, just like the one that you probably live in, and you've seen it before. Guys walk up to your door and knock on it, and they have a pitch. They've got to entertain you for 30 seconds to get another 30 seconds. And if you've ever been sold something door to door, by the end of it, you find that it's actually a really good experience for both the seller and the consumer, which I find pretty satisfying when, you go out in a neighborhood and you have 8, 9, 10 hours to make things happen, and it's really all up to you. So in my industry, selling pest control, I go to markets that tend to be really buggy, is what we call them. So I started in Atlanta, Georgia for the last 2 years. And when I would knock on a door, when they would hear that I'm selling pest control, it's already pretty natural to hear that, because it's something where you have to use pest control in Atlanta. And so it was really neat to, start in this industry in a market with selling something that's already pretty known and pretty well used. But yeah, it's literally just, I always think about Mike Tyson. He has a quote where he says, everybody has a plan until they get hit in the mouth. And I think anyone who does door to door, has looked into it, has a plan. Okay, I've done my role plays. I know the pitch, I know the product or service I'm selling. But when you get that first hard no or that first door slam, how do you react to that? That's what dictates how successful you are in this. And I think that segues really well into life as well. How well do you react when you get hit in the mouth?
That's awesome, man. That is really awesome. Door knocking, definitely have seen it. People get smacked in the face a lot. So this year, you said you're on your second year with door knocking, and you had a pretty successful season this year. So what did you have to do to become an expert in that area of door knocking? What are some of the things that you do? Good
question. So I think a lot of guys that I recruit and talk to, of buddies that are in the industry, everyone wants to do well in a sales job, right? Because at the end of the day, that's how you can maximize your earnings, and your overall well-being is you want to do really, really well and be a 1%er. And what I've found the last 2 years is guys that do really, really well at this don't put in the work just when the summer starts. So how our sales program works is it's strictly just in the summer months, where typically college kids are on that summer break working. And so guys that would go out with very little to no training beforehand, their learning curve was way longer, and as a result pushed off their success when you're on a pretty short time crunch to make things happen. And myself and some of the most successful guys on my sales team this year were guys that put in the work from September all the way through April before the summer even started, reading books, role playing, watching training videos, putting in hours a day to make sure that when that first door was hit May 1st in the summer, they were ready for whatever was going to come out of that person's mouth.
That's awesome. I like that. That's a good takeaway, to really plan ahead and do your research, study some books, look at training videos, and before you go out there and knock. So, you could definitely apply that into online marketing. Like, you've got to be reading books. You've got to be putting in the time if you want to get those results. So I really like that as a good takeaway. So tell us about your first door that you knocked, and what kind of failure did you see? I know probably don't like to talk about it.
No,
but
it's fun.
Let's hear about this first door that was a big failure.
Yeah, and I was asked this question quite a bit this last year with some guys on my team that had never knocked before. Like, how'd your first day go? What was your first door like? And I remember my entire first day knocking doors in the summer of 2017. So, I fly out to Atlanta. I have pretty little know-how on how to sell pest control. It was the company's first year, and I signed with that company about a month before I went out. So I was pretty naive to the whole situation. But I remember going out into that neighborhood, pretty middle-class neighborhood, nothing too fancy. And I knocked probably 20 doors before anyone even answered. And I was like, man, what is this? Like, I'm just walking around neighborhoods for free. This is crazy. And then I realized every door I knocked on didn't have a car in the driveway. All the blinds were closed. I'm like, okay, so let's learn from this experience. Let's actually go find houses that looks like someone's home. And as I did that, I remember my very first door, they told me, I already have a company. I'm good. I'm set. Thanks. No thanks. And I walk off the driveway, and I'm like, okay, that was like a total fail. How do I get better at this? And so I remember just every single door after that first day, I just tried to walk away from it and assess, okay, why did they say this? Why did I say this? Why did they say no or yes? And I remember after that first door answer, it wasn't too much longer, maybe like 45 minutes to an hour, where I sold my first account. And even then it was like, okay, now I got a yes, now what? Right. And so trying to figure out how to, solidify that sale and maintain the positive rapport with that person to make sure it goes through. But overall, I mean, it's definitely, like I was saying earlier, everyone has a plan till they get hit in the mouth, but those hits make you better.
Gotcha. So what's your biggest takeaway then from that day, that first day knocking? Like, maybe a door knocker is listening. What are your takeaways from that day? I
think, at the end of the day, regardless of the industry, if you want to be a 1%er in your industry or be the best at what you do, you're going to have to go through some grind to make that happen. And so my full first day knocking of, roughly maybe 8 or 9 hours straight of knocking. And I finished my first day with 2 sales, but to get 2 sales, there was dozens and dozens of no's. And as I went home that first day and realized, okay, I have a full summer ahead of me, I see myself being able to do well at this, you have to be willing to accept rejection and be okay with that and not have that affect how you do the next day or the next week or the next month or the next year. And I think that's very applicable in any industry, right? If you're trying to do something big, you're going to have naysayers and people that tell you no, and you're going to have to react to that in a positive way and just keep pushing forward.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. One thing that came to my mind when you're telling me about you failing out there, you were failing, knocking doors, and you were analyzing, what were they saying? What did I say? Even that's applicable in business in general. Like, even in online marketing, you're going to have to do trial. You're going to have errors. You're going to fail. You're going to have to make changes, adjustments, to get those campaigns even successful. So like you said, though, it's applicable in any industry in the world. So thank you for sharing that with us. So tell us about your first little successful experience that you had with knocking doors, your first little sell that made you go, okay, I made one, like, I can go sell hundreds now. Yeah,
man, I feel like I'm still getting to that point too. 'Cause I feel like I still have so much untapped potential in what I do. But, I would say my first summer, it was it was a good year. I did pretty well, and I feel like I got my feet wet in the industry. But it honestly wasn't until this last summer that we just finished up, summer of 2018, that I really got a taste of what I can do in this industry and what untapped potential I have. And I think even the industry as a whole has. It can all do really, really, really well. And so, there's a lot of joy that comes from selling a product or service personally. But as I took out a team this year, and most of which were rookies, they'd never sold anything, let alone door-to-door pests before, and seeing those guys shadow you train them, and then they start selling not just one a day, but selling 2, 3, 4, 5 plus a day, that brought more joy and drive to me than anything else. Because I felt like, if I can help 10, 20 guys sell 2 a day, 3 a day, 4 a day, 5 a day, that's way better than any 5, 6, 7, 8 a day that I can do, right? And just seeing that impact bleed through to other networks has been pretty cool.
Well, so why would you say why was that successful this last summer? Like, why did you have little successes there?
I honestly think it was focus. I literally did not do anything from September through the summer of this last year than focus on sales and focus on recruiting and building. Literally nothing. I had a lot of, different times where I was on the road, like day after day after day, recruiting guys and trying to build. And I think that's honestly what it takes. I remember listening to a podcast with Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, and they were asked, you guys collectively are worth a couple $100 billion. Like, how do you guys do it? Give us your secret sauce. And they simultaneously said focus. And I think looking back at what I've done, which is very minimal compared to them, but where I want to be, I hope to be like them one day. It definitely is focus. There's 24 hours in a day, and how you use those 24 hours, I think, dictate where you're going to be a year from now, 2 years from now, 6 months from now, more than anything else. Focusing on really what's your goal, what's your game plan to get there, and then execute is really where I think it stems from.
That's awesome, dude. Staying focused. Like, again, any business out there, if you're not focused, you're not going to be successful. So that's a great takeaway there. So Justin, tell us about this last summer. Obviously, it's been maybe a grand slam dunk. It's kind of debatable. Obviously, we all have high expectations for ourselves. But what was your big successful summer with door knocking?
I think I kind of like I was mentioning earlier, I just really noticed my potential in this industry. I think, as anyone is in their young 20s trying to figure out what they want to do for the next 50, 60 years of their life, it can be a tough question to answer. And going into this industry last year, I wanted to be a doctor. I'd wanted to do that for my whole growing up, pretty much. Playing football growing up, getting hurt, going to orthopedics. That's what I wanted to do. And this last year, as I really have gone all out in this, I've completely changed that plan. I want to master sales. I want to get really, really good at this industry, and then funnel that into who knows what in the next 10 years, real estate, whatever it may be. But I think really my biggest takeaway is we all can do a lot more than we probably think we can do, right? There's 24 hours in a day, like I was saying earlier, and how you use those 24 hours each day can really make or break your potential. There's a lot of success out there to be had, and there's people that are just as talented as you and far less that have done pretty great things, and there's no reason that anyone can't be a part of that.
That's awesome, man. So I'm going to throw a curveball to you. What did you do to change that mindset of going from orthopedics and then realizing that you're realizing that you haven't even hit your full potential yet? So like where did that change? What made that change?
I remember it changed in a parking lot in Buford, Georgia, my first summer. So it was the tail end of my first summer knocking doors, and I sat down with two of the owners that started Anthem Pest Control, Jacob Peden and Mitch Matthews, and we had a really good conversation just recapping the last few months of what had happened and the goals and plans of the company and where I would fit into that. And it was honestly pretty quick. They told me that, they really wanted to have a long-term play and make this something that we built it together. And they told me, you want to go back to school here in a couple months and you want to be a doctor. And when they said that, it like just didn't ring true anymore to like what I wanted to do at all. I saw a glimpse of the impact that people have selling anything door to door, whether it's security or satellite or pest or solar. And I felt like I could do really, really well at this. And it could be something where I could do well at it from the get-go. You know, being a doctor, it would take me 15 years to get through school and residency and get practicing, which, you know, there can be some impact along the way, but I realized I could have that impact now and not have to wait. And so it was kind of a no-brainer for me to just go all out with sales.
That's awesome, man. From what you told me, basically, it just seems like changing that mindset is definitely one of those things you have to make a choice. You have to make a decision to have that mindset. And I think that's really awesome, man, that you have that mindset now. So wrapping up this podcast, man, you've dropped so many amazing things for this audience, but we just want to know what you do for fun, man. Give us a little
fun.
Who are you? Because you can't knock doors, 99% of the time.
Yeah, no, my guilty pleasure is golf. I love to golf. Yeah, as much as I can get out and go play, it's where you'll find me. And it honestly, I can tie it into work pretty easily. Take guys out golfing, and I can kill two birds with one stone. But I'll be on the course as much as possible. That's what I like to do.
That's awesome, man. If I could hit the ball straight, I'd go out with you, but I always hit a hard left hook. So, any updates in the door knocking industry?
Yeah, it's a much bigger industry than I thought going into it. You grow up and you see different guys going door to door, and it's almost like, oh, don't answer, the door to door guy's coming up. And that's really all I knew about the industry coming into it. And having been in it for a couple of years now, it's huge. It's a profession and career for people that make a ton of money and have a huge impact. And so with updates in the industry, it's really just a booming industry. It really is. Even outside of where I live in Utah, there's people all over the country and even all over the world that do really, really well for themselves and their families door knocking. It's direct sales. It's marketing at the beginning, right? It's probably the oldest form of marketing, knocking doors, but there's booming companies all over and updates with it just to be open to the idea of looking into it and being aware of what people actually do. And it's a career for a lot of people with door knocking.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, no, I can say I know for a fact that people make a lot of money doing this. I've never knocked doors, but like I said, I work with Sam and he's definitely made a profession out of it. So it's pretty awesome seeing this industry boom. So tell the audience your, favorite book, man, whether it's sales, self-motivation, what's your favorite book?
Favorite book. I would say one of the books that helped change my focus and my mentality, alluding to what you were talking about earlier, is a book by Grant Cardone. So it's Be Obsessed or Be Average is one of the books that I tend to read a lot and recommend to people. And it really just breaks down, there's so many people in this world that could achieve so much more if they just put in a little more time and a little more focus. And to the point where, you can very easily become obsessed with something. I can honestly say I'm obsessed with selling bug spray. It sounds stupid. It sounds dumb, but I'm obsessed with selling bug spray. I love it. And I love teaching other people how to do it. And the nuggets that Grant Cardone drops, a guy who's done a ton in his professional career, it's worth your $20 to buy that book. Be Obsessed or Be Average. It's great.
Amen to that, dude. If you want to be obsessed with your business, you got to, if you want it to be big and successful. So
that's right.
Amen to that. So favorite thing about door knocking?
Favorite thing about door knocking, I love walking up to a door and thinking, the 10 seconds before I knock on that door, what is this person doing right now? They're probably like sitting on the couch, watching TV, just pull the Hot Pocket out of the microwave. Like, who knows what they're doing? And they have no idea that they're about ready to get pitched on buying pest control. I think it's hilarious. I think it's funny. And when you knock on that door and the person opens, you have literally 2 seconds to figure out, okay, what is this person like? How do I need to mirror them? And how do I need to buy another 10 seconds, buy another 10 seconds, buy another 10 seconds, so that the goal is, right, to close them and have them buy from you. And that's my favorite part about it, man. I love trying to make people entertained quick. And it's definitely a trick. You know, there's a lot of failures in a day, but it's cool to see those successes happen.
That's awesome, man. That is funny, catching people off guard.
Oh yeah.
You know, you can technically do that online marketing, you know, scrolling through the feed. Oh crap, there's an ad.
Scroll through Facebook, and you know, you got to catch people with that video or that post for sure.
Yep. So that's pretty cool, dude. Favorite podcast?
Well, other than Taylor's podcast,
Dude, you're the first one.
my favorite that I listen to the most is probably Joe Rogan's podcast. It's really, really good. He's got hundreds and hundreds of episodes, and I think he's one of the leading podcasts on YouTube and iTunes. And he brings in the top business moguls and one percenters that this world has to offer. And so he's posting a ton. It's a guy who's pretty intense. It's an intense podcast, but that's probably my favorite right now. I listen to that one usually, you know, every day. I'll try to find one snippet or part of a podcast to listen to.
That's awesome, man. So what advice would you give to, you know, any door knocker out there in the world?
Any door knocker.
Or any guy, I guess. It should actually be, what advice would you give to every, you know, sales guy in the world?
Yeah. I think, well, there's a lot of us out there. I think I was reading some article the other day where 1 in 9 people in America work in a direct sales industry. So there's definitely a lot of us out there. But my advice would be, don't get satisfied when you hit a goal, right? I think in sales, everyone's going to have a goal to hit in a year or in a month or in a week. And it's easy when those get hit to get complacent or content with where you're at. And I think, man, when you get close to hitting a goal, you better bump it up as much as you can. And then maintain the same level of focus as if you were $10 away from hitting that, or 10 guys away from hitting that, or 10 sales away from hitting that. And I think the potential that sales people can have can be pretty intense when they do that.
That's awesome, man. Just made me think of a book called Relentless.
Oh yeah, it's a great book.
You've read that one? I was going to say you need to read that one. Any listeners out there, you need to listen to it. It's pretty awesome. Same concept. Technically, once you get a goal, set another one. Keep pushing yourself. So if you had to give any business in the world advice, what would it be and why?
Oh man, advice. I would say the leaders of a company, and a lot of people are already really good at this, but leaders in a company, don't be afraid to get on the ground level with your guys and your people. I think as someone who's young and ambitious, trying to do big things in a business profession, I feel like I've grown the most when I see my leaders and the people that I work directly with, in my case, are the owners of the company, on the same ground level as me and aren't afraid to go knock doors or put in deals. That's pretty cool to see. And I think that influence can be stretched pretty far if anyone, regardless of the title, position, stage of the company, what you're worth, be willing to do the janitor job if necessary.
That's awesome, man. Amen. Hallelujah to that one. I don't even need to say anything else. You said it all. So if there's any guys out there looking to knock or whatever, or get in touch with you, how can they find you?
Yeah, I love networking. I love meeting new people regardless of what industry you're in. So a couple easy ways. My email is justin@getanthempest.com. I have all the social media platforms as well. Instagram, my tag is jtemp38, JTEMP38. Facebook, Justin Tempest, and hit me up. I'd love to chat. I'd love to talk. And like I said, I love networking and seeing what everyone's doing out there to make success happen.
That's awesome, man. Also, just thought about episode, I believe is number 4 with Wesley Bledsoe. He talked about online marketing and using door-to-door companies to generate more leads. So go check that out. Definitely, I brought Justin on this show today because I know how relentless he is when it comes to sales, and all you online marketers out there need to be doing sales as well. There's a lot of correlation between door knocking and sales and running your Facebook ads and YouTube ads. So I hope you guys enjoyed this show. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, taylortimothy.com, and peace.